the bait side especially, it's the Dendy show, right? The drafts they done yesterday, it was always Dendy's pick was the final pick, and usually they kind of open with either Chrysalis's hero or last hero, which is why already I think this DK should be an offlane DK. Um,
Hmm.
Yesterday they were really fixated on Ember Spirit. They picked it twice in the first phase. Of course, it's banned this time, and
Yeah.
they seemed a bit reluctant to adjust their draft. I want to say as it went on.
I mean, I feel like a lot of teams with Dindy have revolved kind of around, his last pick and stuff. I think that's kind of a mistake, though. I think he should just be playing these more kind of like cookie cutter, whatever mids. Like he should be the one playing these Dragon Knights that kind of just they have a purpose, and then you just follow this, and then you let the newer kids maybe come in and try a bit more. Like you can cater your draft more maybe to Crystalis. I think would be a somewhat wise choice. The era of these Pains and Lina heroes that dominate early. I feel like this is, it's we're not there anymore. You kind of need other things. I think now from your mids, you don't really want to have these super squishy dudes anymore. And so I feel like giving these heroes like the priority last pick and stuff. I feel like it's pretty scary. Like one or two deaths on one of these heroes, and you're kind of just done.
Yeah, it's also a case of what Dendy is doing is putting a lot more pressure on themselves, right? Because whether
Hmm.
you think that he can be the best mid in the world right now or whatever, he's not going to be able to easily attain that, if attain it at all, when he's also being the captain, right? He's got all these extra kind of roles he's filling while also trying to be this kind of flashy mid player that we've always known him to be.
Yeah, I mean, like playing these like playing mid lane and drafting and captain, like it's not easy, man. It's definitely not easy, and I feel like like if you're Dendy, like you've played Dota for so long, and like you're at this point now where maybe you're not the most mechanically skilled laner anymore. I feel like that's at a point where you need to kind of realize or re-realize your role. Rethink what your purpose is.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, that's why we see a lot of these more experienced players start to shift to the five role. Like Far is a prime example of that, right? Like he went from the
Hmm.
two into the five, adjusted really well. I think he's like one of the best examples of a shift so drastic in recent times as well.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of also like, I mean, I think he was smart in that sense that I feel like he realized his own. I mean, he was also playing mid and off lane, and I think he just, like, at some point, I feel like, I don't know, maybe your motivation is not there anymore. Like, you don't have that exact same, motivation, whatever. Like, I feel like that's a good time to start thinking if, maybe you should just go play this 5 euro because it's not as demanding, in terms of skill, right?
Hmm.
Five is this where you can kind of rely on experiment and experience. And I think it can be a very good choice for some of these older players who just, want to transition out of their core roles into still being able to play the game, but using their experience.
Yeah, it depends where you think your strengths lie, right? Like if you think you
Hmm.
will be better suited. For example, Fada, a lot of people thought it made sense because of his game sense more than anything else, right? Like
Yeah.
this is the guy who's always calling things minutes ahead of time. He knows he's just kind of got this ingrained idea of how Dota is going to be played, and he can anticipate moves, which is a great skill in a captain. Whereas, for example, if Dendy's argument is I really want to be that flashy kind of star player, I still feel I can do that. Then maybe like the crux is how do I find a captain in a past five that I can trust and follow.
Yeah, I mean, also that, but you also have to, I feel like you also need to realize, like, I mean, if you're, I don't know what Andy is today, but like you need to be able to compete with these new young mid players, right? Like these guys they're grinding, and yeah, maybe you're grinding, but they have something, like there's something fresh, right? You have this. I mean, you can say that you're gonna keep your I don't know, then these what he's 30 maybe something. Like it's really hard to keep the same motivation to grind these pubs and still get something out of them after like 15 years into playing, right? So I
Yeah,
feel like you should consider just just taking a step back in your roles, whatever, right? Like let the youngins do the dirty work, and you can just
you can just
sit there
milk
and kind of tell
the
them what to
raw.
do for the position five. Yeah, man.
Yeah, you just become the commander in chief, right? It's like in the
I mean, look
army
at
where you
look
have
at
to.
Lanham. Look at Lanham, right? He's just he transitioned into this 5, and he's just slapping some kids and letting his course do the work.
Yeah, and you take all the credit because you're like, well, I'm the captain, guys. My leadership was crucial to our victory here. But we should probably focus a little bit on the draft as it has just completed. We can see this kind of round out. It looks like it is gonna be once more a case of Dendy's hero to last. Uh,
In this scenario, I don't really hate it. I also think this is a pretty nice Void Spirit game, to be honest. I mean, you don't really care about Bloodseeker. I guess it's gonna be a mid Invoker. Yeah, so it's gonna be Do's Avenge. It's a nice combo. Mid Invoker and Bloodseeker Tiny, looks like. Against then there the Morphling Bane. And we're gonna have Phoenix DK and the Void Spirit Invoker mid. I'm not entirely sure how this matchup is gonna go or what build Boom is going for here. But I quite like this last pick Void Spirit here. I think it's kind of a nice Void Spirit game, I would say. There are no real like threatening stuns, right? All of these stuns are pretty much dodgeable. The Tiny, the Venge, you can play around it. So I feel like if you get off to a decent start on the Void Spirit, I think you should have a pretty good time here as bait.
yeah, and on the flip side, when I look at Vikings draft, I like the way they've kind of given themselves these combos with the Bloodseeker that don't feel necessarily forced, right? Like Tiny's always a good hero. I don't feel like there's really any game where we feel Tiny as a 4 is bad. And then also you have the swaps with the ruptures as well. So there's a lot of ways to dish out damage with Toby's ultimate in this game.
Yeah, they can both use the toss obviously and the swap, etc. With that said, they're kind of lacking a little bit in the teamfight department. They did make up for it a bit with the Duza and the Invoker, of course, last pick there. You get some team fight, but I feel like their lineup is it's kind of fast. It's speedy, right? Like sure they have this Doozer, right? But this is kind of a four protect one strategy. Sure, Bloodseeker can transition into more of a core, and Invoker can too. But I think
He ain't gonna
in a
be
game
able
like this, you're playing kind of around your Doozer, right? You have your Bloodseeker Q if you want to use it. You have your Venge backing up the Doozer. There's some Alacrity for Invoker, and you're just kind of feel like you're gonna invest quite a lot into this Doozer having a good game, and then just run around as 4 on the map and make plays.
Exactly. Like we're probably going to see Toby just go for the typical utility type build, right? You go for your Veil, your Yules, your 4 stuff, and then you just kind of try and control the fight, which is really crucial whenever you have a Medusa lineup, right? The issue with this hero is always how do I reach targets? Even with the changes to Stone Gaze, it can still be a problem. But when I look around this Medusa, there is a lot of CC, there is a lot of control, as well as those buffs that you talked about in terms of damage output.
Yeah, at the same time though, I do think this is like I said, it's a nice Void Spirit game, but it's also a very nice Morphing game. I think you if you survive this like initial kind of laning stage, like the Bane is gonna back you up, right? You should have a decent time. It's 2 melee heroes, and it's also Tiny with boots, so it's 2 melee hero against these 2 range heroes, and it's Bane, right? One of the stronger position 5s in terms of just trading. So I feel like you should have a pretty decent laning stage, and I think if this Morph gets off to a decent start, I think he should it should be pretty difficult to die this game as Morphling, I think. You should be able to just either, waveform out or TP out or, just get out of sticky situations.
Do you think there's maybe a little bit more kill potential than it used to be? Well, what will be if they get him like this? They actually turn on the Fishman instead. As he is the easier target bring
He's
down.
going to have to use his brain sap here.
I mean, you don't feel bad about having a level brain zap, though. I don't know why he's holding the point. He's just going to die. They'll die for it and get the kill.
I don't know why he's... Why is he...
Maybe
Bane... Why is he holding the point?
The only thing I can think of there is like Bane's turn rate's really bad, right? So like he feels if he turns around, he's gonna definitely die. But yeah, it definitely felt like he should have just brain sapped straight away.
It's very strange to me. And I mean, he gets it now. He comes to lane and he gets it, but that was just very awkward, I think. I think it's not going to be the end of the world anyways. You can see that already Tiny is pretty low on HP. He's just getting bullied by Bane now. Bane came back with a lot of regen, so he's just going to come in and just hit them now, and Morphling should be pretty happy here. He just has to make sure he doesn't overcommit like this.
And it should get easy for them to kind of win this lane. Like you already mentioned the complexities around trying to be a double melee against someone like a Bane plus Morphling. But also, Tiny's not really known for a hero that wants to stay on the lane, right? He wants to be able to be free to move around the map. And that might present opportunities for them to kill Toby. Which they're casually...
Yeah, the Tiny's going to be needed in this lane for quite a while. And if he leaves, the Morphling is just going to bully the Bloodseeker, I think. Yeah, once you get some levels, you're going to be okay. You can hit some regen back with Thirst, and you can just spam Blood Right to get range creeps and They're gonna start pulling waves here. I think this is a good choice when you're going up against such a strong lane in terms of both, Morphling with the high damage and Bane with the bullying potential. And you don't really want to sit there and just take it.
In before chat's about to accuse me of hacks. There's something wrong with my auto script file for like camera settings. So every once in a while, I just look like a hacker opening up the console in the middle of the broadcast.
Sort of like a hacker man.
Yeah, I did. I'm a hacksaw man. I seem like the man who's capable of having the definite brain count to hack something complicated.
Yeah, big time hacker.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's kind of looking to trade here a little bit in the mid lane, but I don't know. This seems like kind of a mistake here. He got his Tango in now, but he's quite low on HP, and he's...
Ooh. Okay. When you focused on mid, because they were getting Dendi extremely low, but in the end, it's actually going to be Morphling dying in the bot lane. That's a little less expected here.
Yeah, I'm guessing he kind of just tanked the Blood Right at the wrong timing, and he just goes down without being able to wait for him up.
I guess this is one of the deceptive things with the new Tiny as well, right? The Avalanche makes it very complicated to try and actually move away at all with the changes to stunning you more.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I was playing this game the other day where I'm just playing against some Shaker, Bloodseeker lane, and if you don't get off to a really good start against this Bloodseeker hero, this Blood Right spam becomes so annoying. I mean, he's even skilling it, right? He's gonna max this probably, or at least like has 2 points in it, and this is a 4-second silence with 180 pure damage, right? This is a very scary nuke to play against, and there's this tiny avalanche into toss, and you're almost always gonna just tank the...
Especially as a Morphling, right? Because usually you can already see Chris has been forced into that early waveform point. Usually you don't want to level that until like at least level 4. Usually you go for the points in Adaptive Strike.
Yeah, in a lane like this you have to. And if the Tiny's there and he just avalanches you and then follows up with a toss, then there's not that much that you can do.
No. And like you mentioned already, it's the part about it being pure as well that's so painful. There's a reason there's not many things in Dota that still remain pure now. It's just because it's so goddamn potent, as they're finding out on Fishman.
Yeah, they're off to a really good start down here.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, there's a little bit of bout back and forth. Celery is slowly being whittled down by 5 up, who has 1 Fire Spirit left, so he should be able to actually kill him off. The magic missile is being held on to, so Celery says, get you baited. The Fairy Fire War does begin. However, in the end, it looks like Celery baits himself.
Yeah, and he's not level 3 yet, so he doesn't get the... I mean, he doesn't have a point in the Vengeance Aura, so he doesn't get the little...
He doesn't get to keep playing the game while being dead. Although, outside of that trade, if we're focused on this mid lane, things are looking pretty good for Boom. He's constantly keeping pressure on Dendi, so you're going to see Dendi's picked up his ball now, but it's always going to be empty in this type of lane.
Yeah, he's going to get a boundary rune now, and he's going to get some bottle charges back up, so he'll be okay. Maybe he stacks the small camp here. And yeah, they're just going to keep trading for him here.
Well, I was just going to say, it's interesting to see Boom is actually going to the cost flex. I kind of expected this because Exhort feels kind of too greedy with Medusa, right? But we have seen a shift away from this build because Spirit Vessel, compared to its previous iterations, does feel quite nerfed.
Yeah, the one thing though, and another kill here in the bottom lane, I think Morphling has to kind of run here. He's going to lose his courage too.
I don't want to say this lane is done, but it's very hard to see without a solid rotation from Dendi how you reset this lane now.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to kind of bait the Bloodseeker in, but I think maybe Morphling is going to be fine here. Yeah, they're doing very well so far in this bottom lane on Viking here. Well, however, if you look at the top lane too, the DK's also, he's very happy up there. I mean, you can kind of get it. Like, the Duza doesn't have the best damage, and when you use Breathe Fire, she loses quite a bit of her damage, and he's just gonna sit there and last it, and you can't really harass him out of the lane. We are gonna see this kill now in the bottom lane.
I lock away for a moment. I thought maybe Toby would back up or had some regen coming out, but I don't think he actually... Yeah, he had a salve. It was actually only them flying out is the problem, though. And while that's happening, Fishman is brought down by Aramis, so blood for blood seems appropriate in a Bloodseeker lane.
And this Tiny man, he's off to such a good start here. Already 4 kills on the board. He's already level 5 here at 6 minutes.
I mean, this is the pop-off
And
type performance we see kind of dictate the pace of the game, right?
we might
When the
see
Tiny
another
gets a
kill
group.
here.
There you go. Toss up, down you come, and he's able to morph enough now that he has 3 points in the attribute shift.
Yeah, this is gonna get pretty awkward though now for him because the Bane has to be here soon. He's just gonna lose all these creeps on our tower. And
He's not coming. Fisherman's off
where's
top.
the Bane? Oh
Yeah.
no.
Well, they do get the kill on Celery, so last hero was able to actually bring him down. He attempted a TP out, so that's gonna be a long walk of shame for the Pos 5 if I can when he's
Yeah, I
out.
think that was without the Bane though, and I'm not really sure what the Bane is. What's his plan here? Because he's kind of just selling his Morphling right now. Morphling has nowhere to go. He has nothing to do. He needs to get to his like Mask of Death or something so he can go jungle. And now the Bane port's bottom.
Do you think it's that kind of like ashamed feeling where it's like, all I'm doing is dying here?
Yes, it might just be that. You know, it's like you're having this rough time, and he might just go down here again. I think they could have actually went for him there.
Nope. Aramis got it wrong. He hit the creep instead of the hero. But I guess also the other side of that is like, yes, Fisherman, you are feeding. Shame on you. But from Chrysalis's perspective, if you're here, they're at least not killing him or attempting to kill him so he can farm. Whereas whenever you're gone, obviously, like you mentioned, they're just going to dive, stay on top of him, and ensure that you can't CS.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely, at this point, he definitely needs someone to sit with him until he gets to his, you know, whether it's treads, if this, you know, you get an Iron Talent, whatever it is, he needs something to be able to go hit neutral creeps. That's what he wants to do, or he could also start rotating towards top now. They already took up this tier 1 top. And the DK he's the real winner of this game so far. You can see on the net worth, he's already 600-700 gold ahead of anyone else.
That's kind of surprising. Like, I know you can do well against a Medusa, right? She doesn't have much that she can do about your brief fire. The trade isn't great for her.
Well,
But
this
to
stack
be this
though,
far
they're gonna
ahead.
find the DK here. This is not good for DK. He's got this really nice start now, and he's gonna get hunted down, and then Dusa's just gonna come in and take these stacks.
Yep, they're just like, what you doing here? They'll find him with a tornado into EMP, and all he can do is throw out a brief fire before going down. Or does he? Dendi does arrive to try and save the day, and last year is able to move away. Dusa just gone like that. Shad is down out for 30. And with 5 up arriving, they'll pursue for more. Double kill already on Dendi. And now they can eat up these stacks. They're a bit low, actually. Avalanche toss across. Dendi's gone. And just like that, the moment the bait think they're starting to build a lead, look who comes out of the fog to ensure multiple heroes fall. It is once again this Tiny.
Yeah, and I think you actually could have maybe taken that fight if the Phoenix had some more levels. Like Tiny, he's already 6.5, soon 7. Now the smoke. If Phoenix was 6 there, that fight might look different if you had the egg there.
And things are
He could
gonna
have survived though. So
it's also a case of like the timings, right? The Spirit Vessel and Blink at this rate are going to kind of coincide, and then I'm kind of scared that DK we mentioned that had a great start, like his game is almost done at that stage. And then
yeah, I think he'll.
Oh,
The
go ahead.
DK, he doesn't have to do that much, I think, this game. I mean, he just has to be this big blob. I think the one thing, like, DK should just not feed this game. I think that's kind of his job. He should just go to towers and play with his team, and hopefully he doesn't feed, and just make the game a little bit annoying for Viking to play. You know, apply some pressure on the towers, make sure Viking have to make the proper rotations, and you're gonna be good. You know, he can go for some bracers into whether it's Blink BKB or BKB Blink. I think would be just fine for DK in this game.
Yeah, it's almost always the way with offlane DKs, right? Blink, BKB, and then if you've got that by the end of the game, you've done well.
Yeah, I think that the one annoying thing here for Bait in this game is that the Morphling, he's, you know, in a game like this, you're going to be low so much until you get this Mask of Death, so the Bloodseeker is always quite speedy.
And to be honest, Dobby's not doing too bad himself. He's already on his way towards his Yours.
Phoenix
He's
might
actually
just die
top net
here.
worth now. He's on
He
level
just
5.
ported in here.
I mean, he always has the dive away if he sees Toby go through that tree line. So as long as he stays in the fog, he should be safe, unless Aramis can somehow reach him. That's a big if. There's a big open area that makes it a bit obvious. He also has no mana, so if he does get stuck and jumped right now... Okay, there we go. Mango tree time. Now, tell me, Pajkatt, how tilted are you to see a mango tree that hasn't been placed in base?
I mean, it seems kind of sad right now, right?
Because
You
he's
can
gone.
actually egg here.
I think he just killed the tree himself. Egg will go down. Aramis will be brought down, but looks like Toby's way too fast speeding out here.
We might get
Maybe
the
they can
grip.
reach. They've got the grip. They need to get put closer, and there it is. Celery is there to try and swap him out. Magic Missile to interrupt, and Toby is on the run. Boom does arrive. The turnaround opportunity. Bloodright comes out. Dendi, low on mana. No easy way to escape. This is going to fall. Celery will go down as well, but they're happy with that trade that they get rid of Dendi. When Last Hero arrives, they decide that's enough. They've got what they came for. They will leave.
Yeah, they just traded their position 5 for the mid laner. So you take the trade any day of the week. And now you can see that Dusa, she's been just happily farming jungle. She got her Midas. She took out, I think, that big stack over there. You can see the CS and also the net worth. She's now claimed that top spot. And it's just going to keep increasing the net worth of this Dusa.
Would you say Viking can... I feel like Viking can afford to sit back more, right? Like, if they just get in a chill state, they have this Medusa, and you know she's going to inherently farm quicker than Morph ever can.
I think, I mean, it's kind of what I was mentioning earlier. They have this easy 4 protect 1 lineup, right? The Dusa, until she gets to... This is, like, as a carry player, you just get to say, I will join the game when I want to join the game.
Yeah.
And in before that, they're just going to play as 4 pretty much and buy time for this Dusa, and she will join whenever she feels like it. You can come into some casual fights
She's
like
joining
this with a lot of Snake.
Yep, movement in. Nightmare. Fishman tries to dodge out some damage, but is going to be brought down. Last Hero throws out his stun, looks to retreat. Sunray didn't last very long, and now without that there, they'll chase into these choke points confidently, but to their own demise. As Crystal is able to beat the Tiny. Oh, the real Tiny is actually trying to get involved now. Last Hero is going to be brought down. Aramis is tanking all this damage. Swap out won't be good enough, though, as Dendi did cut through him with the Astral Step. And they do use the Stone Gaze, simply so Shad can run off quicker to hit more creeps.
Yeah, and there's some nice play there by Crystallis turning into the Tiny, being able to kill the Bloodseeker, was it, who's having a pretty good game, so... But also, this is kind of convenient for the Dusa, right? She just has to pop down from, like, the side of the jungle to just, you know, she walks in and it doesn't take her many seconds to participate in this fight. And this is where you kind of want to be as a carry, as a Dusa especially, in a game like this. You don't want to spend too much time trying to join fights this early, if it's not just very convenient for you to just kind of walk over. So your time is better spent just hitting creeps.
Yeah, you can see why he tries to get involved in that fight, right? Because if you take a victory there, you take the tier 1 tower, and then your team can play more aggressive on the Radiant side. As a result,
Yeah,
that tier 1
definitely.
of yours being gone, Dendi and Co are going to be the ones smoking up as they move in towards Shad's location. Straight across on top, but they missed the Remnant. Fiend's Grip's going to come out. Celery swaps him into the Magic Missile to interrupt it, though. The egg does go down, but they're not focusing on that just yet. They're going to turn around and bring it down in the end, as Shad does have the range. They'll chase forward for more. Dendi needs to get out of here because both his supports are dead. That's his final Astral Step. He's got to wait a little while before he'll have another one. Dissimulate onto the high ground. TP out attempt is interrupted, though. They have vision, and with that, they'll have the kill.
It's very, very, very sad to see they're committing to this Dusa, but they don't get their spells out in time. They don't get the Remnant out. So the Dusa is just too far away by the time they're close, and they're gonna lose 4 heroes on this, on the back of this smoke that they just used. And they also wasted a grip.
Cheeky play to actually get Last Hero at the end there, and actually moves them across the map. Like, that's one of those convenient moments, right, where someone's retreating, you're like, is this worth it? It's taken a long time, but then you realize, actually, that puts us in the vicinity of the tier 1 mid anyway, so we'll keep on chasing.
And the thing about this Viking lineup right now is that at this point of the game, after the laning stage not going that well for bait, I think the lanes could have gone better for bait here. But the lane's going this poorly. Viking right now, they have so many spells, right? Like, all of these spells, they're so low cooldown spells. You know, the Tiny, his spells very low cooldown. Invoker, he can play around with this Tornado EMP all the time, Cold Snap. The Bloodright, also very low cooldown. Even the Mystic Snake and whatever Venge has to offer, it's the same. They're all just low cooldown. They're not relying on any kind of heavy teamfight spells, bar maybe the Stone Gaze, but the Stone Gaze is more of a, you know, it's kind of a defensive tool. It can be used aggressively too, but you don't really care that much about Stone Gaze at this point.
No, and this is kind of what Viking are infamous for, right? Like, this is the way we see them win so many games, is they take this kind of aggressive start and they flip it into this snowball momentum-based movement, which is what's been happening so far. But finally, Beta are able to fight back. They find a kill on the Celery. I don't know if they'll be able to find more, and Dendi's in a lot of trouble because he was hit up by the Rupture, and the rest of his team ran away chasing after the other mid in this game. to no avail. And as a result, they now need to retreat. Bloodright's going to go down. Fishman's been caught. They catch the stance under 2 courtesy of the ice wall, and they're able to pursue through and finish off the pos 5 of Bait. But they're not done. They see 5 up as well. With the cold snap out, they'll be able to easily kill off the Phoenix.
I mean, this Bloodseeker's having such a nice game. I really think this hero right now seems quite strong. The Bloodright is just, it deals so much damage. The silence at 6 seconds, and yeah, it's a very spooky hero also now. Like with the fact that you have the Thirst passive, right? You don't need to be using this Q on yourself in lane. You don't have to get yourself low, and it allows you to go for this maxed up Bloodright build. I feel like this hero is in a really nice spot for playing as a position 3 right now.
Do you think would this hero feel balanced to you if they changed it from pure to magical damage on Bloodright?
That's tough. That's tough, man. That is such a big change, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fact
like
that pure damage.
The Bane treatment, right? Because like Bane had
Yeah.
pure on the brain stat before, and then like I guess the difference with Bane though is obviously he has Enfeeble, so he kind of gets closer to his original pure damage as levels come in.
I feel like they could maybe just tweak the numbers a little bit. I mean, yeah, you could do something similar with the Bane, right? It's just how the scaling goes. It's just it starts at 120 damage, right? Like, why is it 120 damage nuke at level 1 with a 3-second silence? I think the numbers are too high on this on the scaling too, right?
Yeah, maybe like 100, 150, like 200, 250 might be a good way to go.
Yeah, even like 80. 81, what is it? 81,
8120, and then like up to 200 max.
something like that.
Aramis?
Up to 240 max, something.
They're
would be
taking
okay.
way too long with this tiny kill right now. 5-up's going to be brought down, and last hero, he used the dragon form just to run away, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. The Rupture does come out into Dendy. He'll look to escape, but the Yules is going to be on point. They clean up the DK, and the DK won't be the last one to get exactly that. As they
I think
chase
he
down
got caught on like on pretty much like the last frame there before the TP actually finishes. Yeah, you can see, I mean, Lycan are just pulling way ahead. This Dusa already with the Dragon Lance. Just gonna go back into this triangle, hit some more Ancients. He has the Iron Talent, he has the Midas. You know, it's like one camp done, and then he goes on to the next. He's gonna have his Skadi probably before the 20-minute mark, or just right around there, the 20-minute mark. And I think at that point, all you need to do is just go to a tower, or go to a Roche, or go to objective, and you just park your Dusa. And there's not really that much that you can do, I think, if you bait. We see this. There's this Vlad's on bench. The Invoker has his Vessel. Tiny has Blink. Bloodseeker is online with the Yules, and now good. Gonna see if he goes into a pipe, because right now bait, they have pretty much only magic damage, and so Bloodseeker finishes the pipe now. I think there's just no damage on bait if that happens.
No, I mean, just look at the comparison. I mean, look at the progress, right? Chrysalis has only just got his Eagle song. Right now, this is like someone drives up in the nice little the Volkswagen from like 20 years ago. They park it. And then the Medusa is just somehow someone has managed
Pulling
to
up in her
purchase.
Bugatti.
Well, I was going to go with an Abrams tank, really. It feels
Okay.
more appropriate
Oh,
here.
shit. Yeah, that actually does sound more appropriate.
And you're
And
like,
this is-
how did he get an what? But it doesn't matter how he got it. The fact is it's there right now, and you're just in your piddly little Volkswagen that your parents bought you when you went to college for like $200.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like, he's pulling up in a tank, and it's like he doesn't even have to use. There's no cannon on the tank.
No, he
right?
just
It's
rolls
a
over
tank.
you.
He's literally just driving over.
And they don't have to, like, the inherent nature of Medusa is it's kind of like, in Austin Powers, the scene where the guy's like screaming no as the really slow vehicle's coming towards him for like half a minute before he gets ran over. That's
Right.
usually the Medusa factor, right? Like, this hero isn't swift to bring an end to anything. It's always been this fortress type hero that slowly kind of waddles down a lane
like a
and
lurch.
takes what she wants.
It's like a big lurch,
Yeah.
just like a blob.
It's like
Kinda
that Granite
just-
Golem that she's killing right now, right?
hmm
But if Granite Golems had a lot more damage.
Yeah, I think if they go in now and just get this Roche uncontested, I think this game is pretty much a wrap. I think Bait have to take this fight. You have to pull out something out of the hat right now, which is also tricky because
Because
have this,
they can't
Gate
afford the
to
hat that you're
engage
talking
with.
about.
yeah, they don't have a hat, right?
They got one of those top hats with holes in it, right? Like the top's just gone. It's not going to protect you from a rainy day. And you can already see Viking, they're confident about this. They can just stick Shad in the pit, even if it takes a little bit longer. The Fiend's grip on the side isn't going to do anything. Fishman now has no big tool to contribute in this fight. His life will have to do, but it won't really achieve anything as the avalanche toss comes out onto Dendi, and the right click's not even focused on him, almost bring him down as they finally are able to bring an end to Fishman. Your big control in these fights is gone. The Sunstrike is on the mark. It gets Dendi. Actually, it's Toby who gets the follow-up. He's on point there as he moves in with the Blood Right. And the buyback does come out from Bane, but it won't matter. Avalanche toss in. Once again, the man of the game is keeping it up as Aramis is making play after play. Look at the double kill on Shad. And I feel like we are slowly, well, actually not slowly, quite quickly
Slowly, I
approaching
think it's the wrong word, yeah.
that good
We're gonna have a
moment.
self build here on Toby, but doesn't matter.
Aramis is just like a checkout person right now. He's just scanning the items like next, 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 next. Just gonna toss that one in as well.
And you can also see what he's queuing up here on the Tiny, and they're just going to call it. I mean, this is pretty expected at this point. I mean, there's not much you can do. You don't have any levels on any of your heroes. You have no items. The Morphling, he doesn't have his finished E-Blade. Medusa is just way, way too far ahead, and then he's having a rough game after this. Decent start. I think they kind of just collapsed really quickly there. Bait, there's this one smoke after they took this some semi-poor engagement. They went into the enemy kind of jungle, went a bit too deep, didn't get the kill with the smoke, lost 4 heroes, and I think from that point on the game is almost done. I mean, the laning stage, it wasn't all that bad. I think it could have gone better for them. I think especially this bottom lane. I think this lane looked a bit more rough, and it might have something to do with their first blood. But yeah, I think they could have done better in lanes on bait and then kind of just played a little bit slower game. Like just let the Morphling get some items before you start making all these plays. Of course, it's kind of up to Viking, right? You saw them; they're kind of just the ones running over bait, but I feel like you play a bit more together. And like Fishman did not have the best game there on Bane.
No,
it's a hero that he's also well known for, but in this game, it didn't work out for him.
Yeah, it's not. I don't want to hate on him too much, but it was a wonky start. We already criticized the moment around not leveling Brain Sap and trying to sustain. Maybe he lives there, and then also when he just strolled top, I think was another really weird moment. I think he got to that stage where like we've all been there, right? You even get it as pro players where you're like, I don't have a place in this game right now, and I feel like I'm a liability wherever I go. And that was what was happening. I think he was up 4 deaths at that point, just several minutes into the game. And you probably just feel like
I mean, you saw this rotation towards the top lane, and it's just like at that point, it's just like he felt so lost, right? And then he's also kind of just like leading Crystallis under this tower, trying to last hit with no HP against this Bloodseeker, and Tiny just running at you, and it's just too awkward at that point.
One thing I want to give credit to though is something that seems a bit different to Bait when we cast them last. Is something they were kind of infamous for is getting this to this point where like it wasn't just Fishman, but everyone would have no direction sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they at least you saw them try and make some active plays this time around compared to the previous series, I want to say.
Yeah. I mean, there's something a little bit wonky about this. Like, I think the 4 heroes of like Phoenix, Dragonite, Bait, and Morph together, they kind of lack ways of really playing the game, like making kills happen easily early on in the game. Like you need to rely on Phoenix having some levels at least so you can dive in and slow people down, because setting up kills here is not super easy with these 4 heroes. So your kind of early mid game is going to be tanking a little bit. So I feel like maybe the Morphling is something a little bit more active, like a Gyro or a Troll. Maybe Troll is not the right hero, but something a little bit more active, or you just have some more spells here in the early game. I feel like the difference in this game, like the Phoenix and the Tiny, you swap these 2 around, I feel like that the game could look very different, if there's a Tiny with the same start on the enemy team.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Phoenix just didn't really get to have a place in this game after also kind of just this bottom lane collapsing a bit too hard.
No, all I had there towards the end that would like really nailed it home is Tiny getting a good start, right? Like this hero, time and time again, no matter how hard it gets nerfed or tweaked, he always finds a place in the meta. And he definitely had an amazing performance showing here when Aramis picked him up 7-2-14 on the Tiny in the end, and a victory for Viking only 22 minutes into the game. But that's only game 1. It's a quick start to our day, But we're going to have to see if Bait can draw this back, because so far that is 3 losses and no victories. They need to get some score on the board at some point. We'll see if they can do it in just a few minutes.